Hey, Chad. Hello, world. We're back, and today I'm in my car. In me mom's car. Vroom, vroom. And my car is really messy, and I'm really glad that you can't really tell how messy it is based on this angle. But we're so back. And today I thought it would be apt to do a video in my car because that's what I was kind of pondering about, talking about, was my first space. Everyone is third space this, third space that. But my car, my Kia K5, is my first space. I visited a friend in his hometown, and he has a family, and they're all together, and they're beautiful and amazing and lovely, and they all live in a house, and that's his home. When he goes back home, that is his home. I don't sit and envy and ponder that and think like, dang, I wish I had a home base. But when I think about it, I am like, okay, well, like, what's my home? Like, I have so many different places to go, and so many different people I consider family. And when I think about like a home in a person, I think about my mom, my dad, everyone. But when I think of a place, I think of my car. Truly, I think my car is my first space. I think it is my home. It is my home base. When I get to my car, everything is fine, and I can go anywhere. You know? And I think there's some like escapism. If you're in your car, you're in your car and you're driving, or I'm eating. And I guess I don't have to do anything in my car. There's no expectation in my car other than to eventually go someplace. Especially when I graduated high school and I was going to community college. And I lived with my dad for like the first year. And then halfway through the second year, I had to move in with my aunt. And I love my aunt, and she's so sweet. She was so kind to open her doors to me and let me stay with her. But that time was especially rough because I just felt like so overwhelmed everywhere I was. I was 20, like 19, 20. And I just felt like every stay was so overwhelmed, even though they were my family and I was going to community college. I felt so out of place. And it reminded me a lot of when I was younger and my parents got divorced and I had to move around, especially with my mom. I had to move around a lot because with my dad, he got to stay with my grandma who lived around the corner. And so living with my grandma, like as a child, like I don't care. Like I'll eat her food. I'll, play games with her and like we're super chill. But with my mom, a lot of the time in that period of life, I had to live with her friends or her friends would be over or whatever. And I wasn't as comfortable with those people. And so, like, I wouldn't eat because of it. I'd feel so bad. I would steal a protein bar from the week I was with my dad, and then, like, I'd half it, and then eat, like, one half in the morning at my mom's, and then, like, later for dinner, I'd eat, like, another half. And I think partially it was the feeling bad thing, but partially, it was because, you're a younger girl, and I'm in girls' athletics, and I'm looking at all the other skinny girls who can run more than me. And I'm like, dang, I can't do that, and I need to be more in shape. And I think being in shape is just being skinny. And so then I'm like, okay, I'm not going to eat. And that was like a little rough patch for me, but I got over that pretty quick. That like little spiral did not last too long because life hit me in another way. But being at my aunt's last year reminded me of this childlike need or like childlikeness to be so dependent on other people. It makes me feel sick. It makes me feel like I'm nothing but a bother. And so I feel like my car was my escape and always has been. My car, I can go eat dinner in my car every night. And I don't have to eat anybody else's food. I don't have to eat dinner with them and intrude on their conversations, like my aunt and my uncle. I don't have to disrupt their status quo, even though they would love nothing more than a younger person to be there and give energy to the house and the vibe. I did nothing but overthink about my position staying with them. And I felt like nothing but a big ass bother. And so for those couple of months and the summer leading up until I moved here where I am now, I pretty much lived out of my car. Especially the last 2 weeks I lived with my aunt. Some family stuff happened, and so I had to move out really quickly, and I had to move in with my sister, but I only had 2 weeks until I moved, 40 minutes away. And so my entire car was packed to the ceiling with everything that I owned. And even my trunk right now is still entirely packed of stuff I still haven't taken out because my ADHD makes me procrastinate everything. And that time was very difficult. That time was very difficult. Like the month of knowing that I had to move out really quick and then having to stay with my sister who I love, but she can feed into my insecurities of feeling overwhelmed in places. She would make jokes about me being homeless or whatever, but she's never really joking about that kind of stuff in a way. And I felt so insecure about that and so down on myself. And I would spend every 100-degree day in a car eating food by an old church. And I felt like I had literally nothing else to do because all my friends I had made lived in the town that I live in now, and they were all far away, and I couldn't move in yet. And so I just literally sat in my car all day for like over a month. And I've felt a little bit lost in certain parts of my life, and lately I've been feeling especially lost. If you've seen any other videos I've made, like, I'm very lost right now. But that month, there were actual physical, tangible things telling me that, like, hey, you don't have anything right now and you're lost. I had longer black hair at the time and bleached eyebrows, and I wore a white tank top and a black skirt like every single day with my flats. And I would go to this preserve in the town I used to live in that was so beautiful and I miss going to dearly. Or I'd go to this old church. And old churches in general, which is another reason why I am at a church today. I don't know if you can really see it. Old churches have my heart in a way I would never be able to explain. I have no tie to churches. I did not grow up truly with any strong religion. I went to church a couple times when I was younger, but like for holidays. And my dad would talk about God and Jesus and all this stuff, but he would never preach too long about anything, especially when we were going through certain things in our life. He was very in the moment with things. And he never would turn to preaching about religion in a hard time. He would just like go through the hard time and we would all be there and he would be like mad or angry about something or sad, and like that was that, And I think that too is another reason why right now I'm very lost in my life, because I've never had religion and I never plan on turning to religion. And I'm really glad about that. I'm very glad that I'm figuring out my life for what it is. And I'm not prescribing any part of it to anything I can't control. I mean, a lot of things I can't control, but nothing that I, have to or don't believe in. Like, I'm glad that I'm just in the moment with things. But that being said, I think it makes me especially lost because I have no backbone of security or comfort, other than the privileged life I am given because I have family who looks out for me. I will say that. There's something about a church that, especially an older church with like beautiful stained glass window, that just makes me feel like it's going to be okay. That makes me feel very safe. And I try really hard to psychoanalyze myself in that way. And this would be another good, amazing reason to go to therapy so I could figure out this. As to why I feel such a nostalgic, deep, deep connection to these old churches that I go and sit at and just think and write and read. The only hypothesis I have come to develop, possibly within my psyche, is that the only person in my life, other than my grandma, who is still alive, but the only other person in my life who I loved so dearly when I was younger, Judy, was my grandmother. And she wasn't biologically related to me, but she was my family, and she was my grandmother. And she would talk about Jesus. Man, would she talk about Jesus. Man, would she preach. And would it be a little bit annoying sometimes? Yes. But there was such a grace in her words. There was such a grace in her mind. And I remember having a conversation with my dad about my grandma. My grandma, who's still alive, who is very vehemently into God and the idea of afterlife and heaven. And my dad's kind of in this middle ground between me and her. And he believes in God. He believes in Jesus. He believes in everything happened. But that he still lives his life. And he's not living it for another person or another being. He's living it for himself, but like he says, for me and my sister and lineage and legacy. And he talked to me one day and he was like, it's great to have the mind that you have and be so analytical and intellectual and be so into life, but there is another thing to have so much faith like my grandma does. And that when she dies, she's going to heaven. And that when she dies, she knows where she's going. And that when she's on her deathbed, she will be joyous. And I think that a part of me deep down really wants to believe that as well. For the same reasons. Because when my grandma Judy died when I was like 10 or 11, it made no sense. It made absolutely zero sense. Death makes no sense. If anything makes no sense on this planet, it is death. In the same way that it's life. But we put meaning to it, right? We give it purpose. And so what is death's purpose? What is death's meaning? Light and dark. You can't have light without dark. And that's how I try to think about it. But I think also, too, I want to believe that there's light in the dark. And then everything becomes gray. And then everything is life, and everything is meant to happen. But I feel like when it comes to my grandmother's death when I was little, because I was very close to her. I think ever since then I've been clawing at things that aren't religion, but that feel religious, to consolidate who she was in my brain and the things that she loved, and maybe just in a way try to keep her alive. Because when I was younger and she died, I got to go through all of her jewelry, and I stole a lot of her jewelry. And I feel over time I've lost a lot of it, and I hate myself for it. So other than that, what do I have? And I feel like around that time, when I started moving and I lose things and everything, is when I started going to these old churches and sitting at them and really thinking about life. And I guess maybe this comfort I feel with them is that I don't have to believe in the religion, but I'm at some place religious that connects me to my past, that connects me to someone in my life who is dead, who brought so much of this world into my life when they were alive, that I don't believe in, but I miss. And so I'm at a freaking church. I mean, you take yourself everywhere, you take everyone everywhere, and everything you felt and feel about life. I think you take everything everywhere, and I thought being in my car, being in my car feels like an escape, but I'm still here, and I'm everywhere, and I can't escape that. But when I'm at a church, it feels like I can. It feels like something so personal to me, like my memories with my grandma, that nobody else will ever experience. And I think, too, that's why, especially, I choose to eat in my car next to churches at the end of every day. Because if I was going home with my food or making food at home and sitting down and eating by myself, I would get very depressed. It's just really beautiful lately because, especially last night, I hung out with my friends for like the entire day, and we went to the library and were productive and did everything. And then we got food and we sat in my car, and it's become like a ritual, I feel like, between us. And it's so amazing because you never know. I was so sad for so long about eating in my car alone, and the fact that I am very lonely a lot of the time. And then I have friends who just appear, and they're beautiful and amazing, and I don't feel that way anymore. But I don't know if I necessarily have wisdom to say about it or anything I've learned other than just keep swimming, bro. Just keep swimming and you'll find your school. Just keep swimming and you'll find your school. And I know that's so cliche, but for real, you know? And also, I think we're meant to meet so many people in life. I think it's crazy. Like, if I live a full life, I have not even met most of the people I will know in my life, most likely, up until this point in my life. It is crazy. That's a crazy thing to think about. I have not even met most of the people I will know in my life, most likely, yet, in my life. And my entire life revolves around those people right now, most of which I probably won't know when I'm older, most of which won't be in my life. And that's another thing I've been kind of struggling with lately. There are certain people that I've met, especially this past year, who I just adore. Who I adore. Who I've had a time with. That I'm very, very sad about the prospect of not knowing them one day. And I know there will be nothing but better things in the future. But that's another thing I've been dealing with, is like letting people go already. I think it's easy for me to let go of people, you know, who I've known a long time, which is weird. If I know somebody a long time, it's easier for me to let them go because I can make sense of that, and I had my time with them. But people who I've known for a year, less than a year, it's impossible. It's impossible for me to do that. I just feel like we haven't done everything we should have. And that's been difficult to come to terms with lately. It's so weird because so much of my life, I'm like every other person. I hold on to things when I shouldn't. I hold on to things way too long. But so much of my life, I think I fell into an avoidant type of pattern of not needing anyone and not pushing people away. Like, I would never push people away and be all dramatic. But I maybe wouldn't let people in because I didn't know myself. And I think that's a misconception about a lot of people, especially people who are avoidant. It's not that they don't let you in. It's they don't know themselves. They push everything away, including themselves, and they don't know themselves. You can only meet somebody as deep as they have met themselves. And if they don't know themselves, you cannot meet them. That is impossible because they don't know who they are. It's so funny to me that I do believe that you can only meet somebody as much as they met themselves. And I still try. And I still try. I try to meet those avoidant people. That's my type. It's my type. And it's my curse. Because it's never going to work. It never has. With the exception of 8th grade, for 3 weeks, I had a boyfriend for 3 weeks in 8th grade. Other than that, I've never had a boyfriend, never had a successful relationship by any means, never made it out of talking stage because I didn't even realize it wasn't a talking stage until after the fact, until after they don't actually like me, until after it's not the vibe, until after they're not in the place, until after they had her girlfriend the whole time, until after they're a mess and they don't know what they're doing and I'm too good for them. Yeah, damn right. Damn freaking right. But it just never works out, and I think ultimately it's been for the best. It has been for the best. You don't even have to be a man. You can just be like verging on one, and I'll be like, okay, yeah. Like, okay, yeah, I can teach you like the last couple of things, and then we'll be chill. I will sacrifice for you for a while, and then we can be chill. I would do that. I would even do that. But they're not even willing. They're not willing to change. They're not willing to do anything for you because, and like the last video, I was rambling on about how like the patriarchy hurts men too. And I think in the way that it hurts them is that it puts them right back in their head. Like it puts you right back in your head in a way that, you know, I think certain people are just like prone to being rude or mean or whatever. But besides that, when somebody's not trying to ruin you emotionally and romantically, they just get themselves in messes all the time. I think it's just because, especially the men, they're just so in their head. They're just so in their head in a way that they're trying to be the nice guy. They're trying to do this and that right. But they're so in their head, they neglect the person they're dealing with. They neglect the woman. And they think they're having empathy for the woman by thinking about it. But that's not how you have freaking empathy. It's, hey woman, what's wrong? What did I do? How are you? Well, how was your day? What can I do for you? What is love to you? Because I will do that. But in reality, it's all these things in your head. It's all these things in guys' heads. And so much of it is to do with other men, though. So much of it is to do with the other men and how you level and measure yourself to other men. And that's how you're a man for a woman. Not because you actually ask the woman what she wants, or what is love to her, or what is a man to her. You're like, okay, so how do the other guys get the best girl? How cool am I to have this girl to the other guys? It's a dick measuring competition, and I'm really sick of it. Just be into me. Just really love me. Just love me. Go get food with me. Let's watch TV. Let's just have fun. Let's just have fun together. Can we not just have fun together? I think men are in a circus of men right now. All the men are in a circus of men performing little tricks for the men. And the prize is a woman. And the prize is a relationship with a woman. Get out of the circus. Get out of the circus. Walk out of the circus. And there's the world of women who are normal and not competing for anything and just want to love and be there for you. You know, I can sit here and say all of this and preach all of this. And at the end of the day, up until this point in my life, I feed into it. I feed right into a man's game. But I don't feel like I'm going to anymore. I feel like I know better. I should know better. And if I don't, I'm insane. And so I'm over the guessing game. I'm over a man being so avoidant that in my brain I think he's just mysterious. And I have so much to know about him. And I can't wait to get to know that about him when in reality there's just probably nothing there. And I'm just romanticizing the nothingness. I am filling in the gap of nothingness with whatever I want. And then when it's not that, because it never will be, I am nothing but saddened. And at the same time, I build a relationship with that person, though, that I find impossible to let go of. Because half of it is reality and half of it is fantasy. And it's hard to let go of real things, but I think it's even harder to let go of things that exist mainly in your brain because, whoa, my brain does things sometimes. But at the same time, I'm like, how hard is it to freaking just find someone you think is really fun and cool, and then also they kind of like you too, and then you just start dating? How hard is that? That has been the number one most difficult, impossible challenge of my life. Hey, try to find Maddie a boyfriend. Impossible challenge. And I'm sure so many of the leading up to moments of maybe being in a relationship, or I was into the person, if they asked me out, If they asked me out, I probably would be like, "Ooh, no." Because they gotta look good standing next to me, bro. And a lot of the guys have not had that ability, I don't think. I love them. I love them so deeply. Every guy I've ever loved, to all the boys I've loved, or whatever that show's called, to all the boys I've ever loved. To all the boys I've ever loved, you are me. I am you. But you ain't it. And in time, I've realized that every time. And it's been harder and harder every single time. You think it'd get easier, but it gets worse. It gets harder every single time. But to all the boys I've loved, I really have nothing but love for you still. And I hope every single one of you is doing amazing today. But I am meant for better. I am meant for better. And that's the whole thing. There's one thing over here pulling me towards this notion that I have too high of standards and that I'm waiting for something that I shouldn't. But one part of me over here is like, no, you are waiting for something better, and you know better, and that's why your gut tells you to go. And as OG MJ says, MJ Lenderman, what can you say to help a friend with a broken heart? What can I say to myself? But I'm gonna just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming like Dory. I need to be positive and keep going forward. I cannot drive alone at night with the windows down listening to old music that makes me think of certain people. But at the same time, I wouldn't be on here talking about how I feel. And I think every single freaking video I'm going to make is just about the duality of that line of life you try to ride between dwelling and living. Light and dark. Life and death. It's the freaking tightrope. It's a circus. Maybe it is a circus. Maybe I am on the tightrope at the circus and I don't even realize. But to all the people I have ever loved, you will never know the half of it. You will never know the half of it. One day, I will be sitting at a church and thinking about you, and you won't know the half of it. You will not know the half of how sentimental I am about every single thing in my life and every person who impacts my life, little or small. You will never know the half of it. And to all the boys I have ever loved, you do not know the half of it. You will never. You will never even know I loved you. I will go sit at a church and you will not know the half of it. I will sit at a church and you will not know the half of it. How much I think about you. And how well I wish you were doing today. And you will never know the half of it because none of you are watching this. But that's for the best. And I think that's all I have today. So, bye chat.